Hey guys, we're back on the video, and we're at the Benjamin Generation Children Orphanage in New Hanover, KwaZulu-Natal. And today I have Adi with me, who's one of the directors of the business, and Adi's going to explain a little bit about what they do here and give you guys an insight as to the magnificent work that they're doing with children up in this area and how it came about, and where they plan to go in the future, hopefully, with this. So, Adi, over to you. Tell us about yourselves.
Well, we're for lack of better wording, because people always ask you, what are you? Are you an orphanage? Are you a school? Are you this or you that? Our actual registration is a child and youth care centre, traditionally known as a place of safety. So we look after, if you look on Facebook, online, Moore House is our main house. It's right over here. It's out of camera, but it's a big old house, 110 odd years old, and it's a registered place of safety, so we can take children on a temporary basis, anywhere from a few hours, 24 hours to 6 months, and with a rolling court order. So some children who don't have a plan B actually end up staying a bit longer, but essentially we set up as a place of safety, and then attached to that is a long-term foster care program that we're running. So the idea is that we will have an immediate place of safety to rescue children. So they're often pulled out of dire situations by the police or by the Department of Social Development. They're placed here, and if they can be repatriated with some family, then that's what happens. It's in their best interest if they can be. If they can't be, then we earmark those children for long-term care, where they can be looked after until they're 18 and even beyond. There's a support structure in place for them, because the traditional weakness of the foster care program is that when they hit 18 they're out in the street. So we're trying to sort of hit that issue in two fronts: quick rescue centre, long-term care. So that's the basic setup here at Benjamin Generation.
Cool. So how did you guys come about? How did this evolve?
My wife and I were asked to take over this property. It was a drug and alcohol rehab, and we were asked if we'd be interested in kickstarting the rehab. And from day one, we saw the place and we just pictured children everywhere. So in some respects,
not yours.
No, not mine. I've already got 3 daughters, but we just saw it as that it would be a great place to raise children, and we'd been working in that area, in that sphere, with children's homes for a while, and thought it would be a great use of the space to do that. And we just, without making it super spiritual, we really felt a call from God to do this.
Mm-hmm.
And so we said no thanks to the drug rehab, but could we have the property, which was a little bit cheeky. And they said yes, which was a little bit surprising.
Wow.
So got on the phone to my wife and said, hey, they said yes.
Cool.
So they gave it to us lock, stock and barrel. It was running a 30 odd grand deficit every month, which we took that over as well. And then basically just got friends, individuals, families, small businesses involved, and people bought into the vision real quick, because it was placed right, and I think people just have a heart for children.
Sure.
And in many respects, I actually thought, well, we've taken the easy way out doing what we're doing, because to try and rehabilitate somebody who's further on in life and dependent on drugs is difficult. But if you can catch children early and prevent that from ever happening, on my on our brochure and on my email signature, I don't know who wrote this quote, but I think it's brilliant. It says, it's far easier to raise a child well than it is to fix a broken adult.
Yep.
And I think we're trying to raise the children well, so that somebody doesn't have to fix them later.
Sure.
If that makes sense. Through just decent upbringing, education, bigger worldview, and hopefully some fathering as well. And but that's how we came about, yeah.
So you try to give them those 5 cornerstones that everybody tries to install in their children throughout life, with morals and etc., and dignity and honesty and everything.
Yeah.
So you're trying to give them to them at this age to break the cycle and allow things to develop for them in a better way than what could have been a bad way for them. So you're trying to give them that step in the right direction in the word go.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
And if we, for Jill and I, something that's close to my heart is there's two things. One of the leading causes of poverty, if you look around the world, I think almost every predictor, I think it wasn't, it was Columbia University, I stand to be corrected, but they did quite a comprehensive study, and one of the leading causes of poverty is single parent households. Single mums do a great job, and hats off to them.
Yep.
But what they discovered in doing some of this research was that children really battled without having a mum and a dad in the home, and it was one of the bigger indicators of poverty. And now, coupled with that, something that, and this might be weird saying to an organisation that relies on funding, outside funding, but one of the things we want to demonstrate to these children is that handouts are not the answer.
Correct.
So, which again sounds weird, this conversation, what you guys are doing, or what we've had to, but we'll need handouts in the beginning phase, but our entire drive is to have a sustainable operation where the farming project, again, you can find that on social media, that side of what we're doing needs to kick in, so that these children don't see us like this. Sure. They see us working, sometimes our behinds off, because that's the way I think too long Africa's sat with its hand out. We've got the means to actually produce our own wealth and future, and I think someone just needs to show the youngsters how that's done. I mean, I'm not an expert by any means, but
I think you're absolutely right. From our travels, and obviously we've travelled extensively, the big problem is that people rely on handouts all the time, and they become accustomed to just taking a handout, and they become a social problem because they don't understand that the reality is you can only hand out so far, but you've got to be able to stand on your own 2 feet and sustain yourself. And it's about a re-education. I think the whole of Africa has to learn that it is a re-education. That's not to say there aren't some industrious people in Africa, because there are. There's people that get out there and really work, and I agree with you. And we've seen that, and you see that in what you're doing. And I think if that's what you're looking to achieve here by giving children a chance to say, yes, we've helped you now, but now it's over to you, and we're going to try and guide you in the right direction to that. I think that is a massive credit to what you're looking to achieve. I think one person's change helps the next person change. And if that one person has 2 children, and he or she gets those 2 children to have that same mindset and that ethos on how to work, you've now changed 3 things in this world. And 3 things become 6 things or 9 things or whatever the case may be. And
it's exponential.
Exactly. And I think it's credit if that's what you're doing. So,
and you guys must have seen it traveling through Africa, the handout mentality. And it shouldn't be the case. We're the breadbasket of the world.
Absolutely.
So I'm looking forward to that day, and it's just 1 or 2 generations making good decisions, and you're in.
Sure.
The problem's maybe not solved, but certainly on the right track.
I think you're right. You've got to change at grassroots. You've got to change children when they're young. You can't change them when they're 16, 18, 20, because the mindset is already there. And you will change a few. That's inevitable. But I think if you change the generation at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and onwards, and you can install it in them, there's a better way to do this, which gives them that sustainable concept of life, then you are well on the way to changing things.
And they'll be confident.
Absolutely.
They'll be confident when they get out there. They'll be confident that they actually can do it.
Okay. So how does the Benjamin generation name come about? Because that's quite a cool name.
Well, it was actually well, firstly, I got a real heart to see young guys become fathers. Again, like I said, one of the biggest social problems, certainly in the African communities that we work in, and even if you look globally, is fatherlessness. It's a massive problem. So we really wanted to focus on the boys, so that we can produce a generation of fathers, because the problem gets solved from within a family. And so Benjamin, boy's name. So we at one point we were thinking just do a boys' home, but
like a Bernardo's.
that kind of thing. So we'd been thinking this way. Then we listened to a preaching series of all things by a guy called Joseph Prince, a really crazy Singaporean pastor. He leads a big church in Singapore, and he did it was a 5-part teaching on the Benjamin generation. It was around the time we were deciding what to do here and the name and some of the vision. And Benjamin was the youngest of the children of Jacob in the Bible, and although he was the youngest, he was the last generation, if you like. And he, in a time of famine, when there was lack everywhere, he had provision, he had food, he had 5 times more provision for food and clothing. Mm-hmm. And we wanted to see the kids that left our home, because we really, it's not an institution, especially the foster side, it's going to be homes, and it's not institutionalized at all. Sure. It's quite autonomous in the family model. But we wanted to see those kids leaving, and even if there was famine and lack everywhere else, our kids, we know, are blessed.
Sure.
Because they're walking in an inheritance where they're equipped to be blessed.
Sure.
So that's where the Benjamin came from, that name.
So presently you've got children here from about 3 months through to about 5 or 6, somewhere around that era.
Maybe 2 girls actually, 9 years old.
9 years old. So how does it transition for them? Do they obviously they come here from court order, and then you start to evolve with them, or they start to evolve with you, and then how does the stages work, or how do you move them through?
It's largely out of our control, unfortunately, that process, because it's driven by the social worker and the courts. Mm-hmm. And that's got its own challenge with the judicial system currently in the country, and as we are teething and finding out what works and doesn't work as a country, as a new country, I suppose. But basically, the child will come in, as I say, most of the children come in on a 2-month or 1 month or 24-hour court order. If they do have a plan B, then they transition into that plan B through the court. Mm-hmm. But if we know that there is no other option, an alternate plan for the child, and the social workers are the ones who are on the ground in the communities asking, does this child, we've just found this child, or this child's been abandoned by an uncle or an auntie, okay, who can look after this child, and depending on the outcome of their investigations will determine if that child has got a plan B or not, whether or not they'll stay here in our place of safety for 3 months, 6 months, or if they say to us, look, this child hasn't got a plan, then what they typically do is renew the court order to keep the child here for another 3 months or 6 months, and in that time we work with that social worker to put them into a family unit here, to put them into one of the foster homes.
Sure.
And that is, and the foster home side of things, and if you're watching this, that is a challenge for us to find a couple, preferably, mm-hmm, or a single person, a retired person, where they've got a heart to foster children.
Sure.
And this is a shameless pitch, but if there are those people out there watching this, if they've got a heart, often the people that are willing don't have the means, the financial means, and the people with all the financial means in the world aren't going to foster children. No. So it's that. So what our model does is it says, well, we'll provide the means, yep, through projects like Overlandi. We'll provide the means to help you walk into that fostering that you're really burning on your heart, and so we'll set up that couple or that single lady, mm-hmm, typically in one of these foster homes, and we say, we'll give you a foster home, so you've got a place, a fully furnished place, and we'll rent that to you for R1 a month, lights and water included, so long as you foster children. So we'll provide the means for you to walk into something that's burning in your heart to do.
Sure.
So and then we transition those kids with no plan B into those families.
So these are some of the properties you have on the premises here.
Yeah, some of the houses.
So you now have purpose-built accommodation to accommodate anywhere from 1 to 5 kids or 6 kids or something like that, and with a living surrogate-like mother situation that's going to look after my father, whatever the case may be, and long-term start to plan the process for them so they've got a sustainable life that carries on in the right way, away from crime and things like that. So
so in the one sense they're away from all of the worst elements of some of the situations that we pulled out of, and they've been given, those other foster children become brothers and sisters, because we try and get them as young as possible. Mm-hmm. and then they become siblings.
Sure,
And,
absolutely.
and when they leave at 18, they've got a brother and sister.
Yep.
I know what it's like for me. I got off the phone with my brother just now. Really, we're looking at doing this. I'm not too sure. What do you think? And I get his advice, his opinion. So that's what we want to cultivate, that thing now while they're young, so that they have that network, that structure, that support structure.
Okay. So you were telling me about last night when we were having dinner. You were telling me about the vision you have for the future, to how to take it the next stage when the children grow up a bit, to try and support them into something bigger in the long run. Is that something you want to expand upon here and say, look, in the future, this is what we want to do, and this is what we'd like to do, if we can get the funding in place and things like that for that? Tell us about that. If you want.
It's hard to. We've got a few ideas that we're looking at, and a few things that we're thinking about, but the underlying, the driver, I suppose, is we want to equip the children so when they leave school at 18, they are employable, that they can be, and certainly I've got 3 daughters, and my job as a father is to make sure that when they leave my home, that firstly society tolerates them. They can hold a conversation, that they're decent people,
Sure.
and that they won't be rejected by people because they have weird habits or quirks or things like that. So my job as a father is to make them, to mold them into people who can contribute to society and be employable. And so take that same thing to all of our children. One of the plans that we want to do is, obviously, some of them will have an aptitude for university, and so we want to get money aside to send them for that type of education, to walk into that if they want to go into profession. Others may not be suited for that. I certainly wasn't. And for those kids, we say, all right, let's look at an apprentice type setup. So we're not going to reinvent those wheels. We'll just provide funding to get them into some of those places that are doing a good job of that currently.
Sure.
But I think something that's probably closer to my heart is getting. We will have a farming operation. Yeah, sorry to say that. So some of them that want to go into agriculture and food security, that'll be on our doorstep. So that'll probably be the first port of call, because they will have gone through high school on this property, going, actually, the tunnels and the farming and the bottling and that whole operation, I'm keen to move into that. But if they're not, if they don't have a bias or leaning that way, then we'll look at some of the other types of education and in sales. I think sales is a big, broad area where I think you can equip children, because even if you're a lawyer, you're involved in sales to some degree, because you have billable hours and you need to sell your services to someone. So I think sales for me is a great broad area where, even if you're a farmer, you have to sell your product.
Oh yeah.
And so possibly look at setting something up along that line to equip the children and the young adults to sell themselves into various businesses, to answer those questions that any business is going to ask. Can this person make me money or save me money? They're worth employing if they can.
So let me put a question to you this way, and it's one of the things that we've dealt with within Overlandi. Some people can contribute a lot, some people can contribute very little. But, you might have somebody sat watching this video at home, watching this, and saying to himself, well, I might have $5 or £5 in my pocket. What can you do with £5 for a child, or $5 for a child? Food in Africa is a lot cheaper than it is in Europe and such like, but $5 goes quite a long way on things here, and it's like a big bag of maize and whatever else the case may be, isn't it? It goes a long way. But if somebody just said, "80, there's $5. That's all I can afford. It's $5. What can you do with that $5 for my child, or this child that I want to help with?"
Well, certainly if that would cover. I'm just off the top of my head now. There's 2 children here that would take care of their nappies for half the month.
Yep. Yeah. There you go.
A bag of maize would feed probably 8 of them for the whole month.
Yeah.
So it
10 kilo bag of maize goes a long way.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's a staple food. And so that money can absolutely go a long way. You get 2 people doing that, and that's medication for one of our little girls who are HIV positive.
Yeah.
So their medical expenses, these things all add up, and and with those people with £5 or $5 or £5, those little pockets is actually what sustained this entire place.
So how can people get hold of you if they want to get hold of you?
You can look on our Facebook page. That's probably the easiest. Everyone seems to be on Facebook. So get hold of us on our Facebook page. My email address is on there. It's adrian@benjamingeneration.org. That's a great way to get hold of us. We do have some giving details on that site, and we also have a UK portal that's actually, we can do gift aid through that, and so anyone in the UK can hop onto that and donate straight through that. Every cent gets through to us. I think they charge us 3 or 4% handling charge, so the money comes directly, and apart from bank fees, it goes directly from the UK bank account into where it's needed.
Sure.
But that's probably the best way through Facebook. We also have a website, benjamingeneration.org.
Cool. Well, lady, I've got to be honest with you. You kindly hosted us as Overlandi here for a couple of nights, and we've had a look around and thought this is a really cool project, and
thank you.
Cool people, and seeing the smiles on these kids' faces in there, and the people that see from the video, just how happy they seem in what they're doing, and happy children come from happy homes or happy surroundings, and it seems to me that you've got the balance right with these kids, and
I hope so.
Guys. Yeah, I hope so. They're the next generation that are going to look after the rest of us. So,
and it really has, without sounding cliche, it's really been many hands making light work. We've had a few big donations that have really helped. There's 3 that come to mind. And I won't mention them because they'll probably be embarrassed. But there's three big companies. But other than that, it's been families, it's been individuals that have put little bits, like you say, that £5. It's those little things that collect every month that have made this actually possible. To keep a house tidy and clean.
Well, obviously, we as Overlandi, we were introduced to you guys through a mutual friend, and he's a credit to who he is as a person and the way he goes about things, and we know who we're talking about, and his vision of helping people and doing things the right way, and he's addicted as a person, and his whole concept, and it's brushed off here. You can see him in the things and the way it is here, and you guys, and I think long live things like this, because it's going to change the future for Africa, for South Africa, and everything else. Because without it, we've got a problem. And I think this is the only way. You've got to get down low, right at this children level, and say, right, let's make a change. And I think it's an absolute credit to you the way you're going with this. And,
thanks.
Awesome.
And I'd say it feels like we're wrapping up a little bit, but one thing that I've been quite mindful of doing. It's just giving a positive message. It would be so easy for us. I could put pictures of crying skinny babies online. Plentiful pictures like that of the teary child sitting with his hands out. But I honestly believe that South Africa is going to be, our green passport is going to be the one. It's going to be the desire of many nations.
I hope so too.
And I really think that this country it has been a flagship country, and it surprised the world on more than one occasion. And I think that green South African passport is going to be invaluable one day. And I don't think one day in the distant future. I think in the very near future, we're going to see a massive turnaround in this country. And so my message to everyone is, we're not on our last legs begging for help. We're going to do incredibly well, and you get to be a part of it.
Yeah, and I agree. £5 to children's future, or $5, whatever, to €5, it doesn't matter. A bit of my handout like that, and it's not a lot. It's like Jen, my wife and I were talking this morning. We were saying that $5 is a Starbucks in America. It's a Starbucks coffee. Hand over a Starbucks coffee in cost, and what you can do for that child with $5 is huge.
It's huge,
and it changes something. And so tomorrow morning we're not going to have a Starbucks on the way to work. We just carry on through and we hand over $5. You know what? You've made a difference, and that one little bit of difference has a knock-on effect to 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and other people, and it is exponential. So it's really cool, and I agree. nobody says please give, please give, please give, but you know, sometimes a little bit of help goes a long way.
Yeah, absolutely. And like we were saying, it's not open-ended. I think within the next 4 years we'll be fully self-sustaining.
That's cool.
And then any money that comes in, we can replicate. We can literally, it's plug and play.
Yeah.
We can replicate this almost
I think that's
anywhere.
cool.
If there's, we'll look for a place with the right sort of key infrastructure around there, and you can replicate this thing quite easy.
Anything else you want to add to this, Adi? Because you know, this is your platform to get it out there.
No, just we love what you guys are doing, and Overlandi and the sponsors that you guys have had, and you know, from your fuel to the tires to you know everything that you guys are doing, and the sponsors that have come over for you guys, we feel kind of part of that thing as well. And so yeah, you guys are doing a great thing, and we wish you guys well.
Sure.
And it's just an incredible journey. Wish we could go with you.
Sure, everyone wants to come with. We'd have a long road train.
road train. Yeah, but I mean, it's great. It's great that you're doing it. It does raise awareness, and it does, you know, make people sit up and look. And it's apart from the entertaining factor, because I'm keen to see some of the updates and stuff, because it will be entertaining to see what goes on out there. But we wish you and Jen and the kids well, man.
Yeah, it's going to be cool.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome.
Awesome.
We look forward to hearing back some epic stories.
Oh yeah, there's going to be a few, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And that's the. This is why we have this mindset of it's nice to be nice, and it is a nice way to be, and it is nice to be nice to people.
Yeah.
And it does come back at you tenfold when you are nice.
Yeah.
And I can see with what you guys are doing here, you're being nice and you're giving people a chance, and it comes back. And it's not a financial reward to you. You can see that. It's the reward of seeing children growing properly, children having a chance, and seeing them evolve to decent, thoroughly good citizens that want to help people themselves in the future. And it is about a mindset change, and I do think you've got it right. I think you've really got it right.
Well, we'll see in the future. Who knows? You know, even when you're raising your own children, there's no manual. You think, and you know, we didn't break the system, but there's a broken system. So we're doing what we can, and we're shouldering with guys like you. Yeah. We're all doing our little bit to say, look, we didn't break it, but it's broken. Let's try and fix it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh well, best of luck to the future on this, and you know, I'm sure when we get back to South Africa in about a year or so's time, maybe, and you know, drop in and say, hey guys, how's it going? And you know, maybe there'll be 10 of these in the area.
Yeah, absolutely.
Really cool.
We'll see. I'm sure you guys will bring back a story or two. We can sit around the fire and have a chat about it. Yeah, absolutely. But no, thanks for your time.
No
thanks
worries.
for what you guys are doing. Thanks everyone for listening to me ramble on for a little bit. We really appreciate the support, and we really appreciate you even taking the time to look at this and see what's happening out there. Be blessed in all you do.